Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ciconia When They Cry. I believe today we will be getting into the fourth chapter, if I'm not mistaken. The only thing I wanted to mention before we get into it is that considering we got to a little bit of a tone shift last time, I think it might be a good time to mention that if anyone needs it, it might be a good idea to look up the trigger warnings. Because again, I haven't played this before, so I don't know what's really coming or like what or when to warn for stuff. But I know that there are some maybe heavy. I mean, we've been exploring heavy topics and stuff, but if you've played other When They Cry entries, you know that sometimes things can get a little gruesome, which I wouldn't be surprised if that happened with this as well. So, just if anyone needs it, I recommend pausing maybe here to look up trigger warnings. My favorite website to do that is doesthedogdie.com, but I just thought it might be more responsible to at least mention that since I don't know, when to specifically give a heads up, but let's just get into it with that out of the way. So we left off on this quote. If it'll come up on the screen. The pieces have been gathered. The pieces have been lined up. Our opponent isn't here yet. Perfect. King of Sorrow. That's a little different from the other ones we've gotten so far. Okay. And we've got this clock thing again. Oh, I don't know if it moved before. Maybe it did. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Okay, let's start from our designated positions one more time. And let's focus more on our coordination this time. Unlike a super genius like me, the others are gonna need some repeated practice. I've been covering for your little super genius screw-ups this whole time, meow. Yeah. Or I guess maybe it's like, yeah. You can't treat Graveful like we're drones, Jaden. Sheesh. I guess you can't keep up with the superb movement ability Meow and I have. There's no point saving a second of time if your coordination suffers. I know you're a super genius, so pay a little more attention to what's behind you. Even a super genius can't do anything without support from his comrades. And anyway, I see so much inefficiency in your trajectory data. You keep putting unnecessary strain on your internal ADMS. You got yelled at. You're definitely a super genius, Jaden. You're so much of one that you can't coordinate with normal people like us. Uh-oh, Meow's totally entered lecture mode, Meow. And when he lectures, he keeps sending over specific data, so you can't fight back. Meow, Second Lieutenant Meow, Master Meow, I'm so sorry. Please hit stupid slow Chloe with more and more relevant data. Looks like Chloe's reliving her past trauma, Meow. Meow, if you don't put your lectures on hold and resume training, the instructor... You brats! What are you slacking off for? Sorry, I did mute the mic. I forgot it would come up like that. You brats! What are you slacking off for? This always happens when I turn my back for a second. You're the one who slacked off and took a break, instructor. Did you say something, Koshka? I don't think he heard you, so I'll text it to him, meow. You fool! Chloe! Poor Chloe. What am I? Oh, instructor! Your time hasn't improved at all. You ended up looking that pathetic at the festival because you aren't taking this seriously. I don't think it was bad enough to be called pathetic. That asshole's probably been saying things like, "They'll definitely win first place. They've got me training them," so to his higher ups, raising the bar for no reason. I agree. I'm not sure I like having a record like that dismissed so easily.
Dummy, dummy! Stupid, stupid Okinogi! Meow, meow, meow!
Hey, you shouldn't say things like that! Stupid Chloe just self-destructed. What's that, Chloe? You got something you'd like to say to me?
It's nothing, I'm so sorry, instructor!
Even in a world where you can talk to people with your brain, you can sometimes self-destruct. Accidents, like speaking out loud when you're trying to badmouth someone mentally right in front of their face, are an everyday occurrence in this world. That being said, some kids can do the high-level technique of saying what they really think, then pretending it was on accident. War Cat, Grave Mole, to your positions. Gunhill, raise the AI level by 3. Roger that.
3 levels! Roger that, Pollo!
Listen up. In the end, it isn't about logic, it's about beating it directly into your bodies. Empty your minds and repeat it again and again. Chloe, begin the countdown.
Enemy AI has been adjusted. Chloe, go ahead.
Then I'll begin the countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Battle Simulator, let's go, Pollo!
Meow's data-packed lecture mode was definitely harsh, but it was much better than those old instructors' baseless theories on the supremacy of fighting spirit. Kids of the Selcom era thought of everything as data and numbers, but old world thinking was full of abstract, emotional, spiritual, and guts-based arguments. Sheesh, Meow's accurate data storm lectures are better than this. Then again, it's like the difference between being pushed out a 10th story window or an 11th story window.
Hey, super genius! Concentrate! I'm watching your data so I can tell. Get ready for a big review meeting after this. And don't run away!
Seriously? Even the super genius Jaden, who didn't know how to be discouraged, was apparently hit hard by Meow's lectures. And so, once again, the young Gauntlet Knights trained in all sorts of ways until they were worn out. Sheesh. Our instructor's weird fighting spirit logic really pisses me off. People without talent are always quick to start talking about fighting spirit. Hey, I'd appreciate it if you didn't talk about our princess behind her back. So, you have no complaints when everything's explained to you logically, Jaden? Well, you can still go too far, yeah? Ever since the It's a Wrap public bath party, this virtual room had become a meeting place for Gauntlet Knights regardless of nationality. Whenever the young hit it off, it usually doesn't take long for them to become friends. And getting to hear or tell stories to people from different environments is a very precious thing for their young hearts. The vast majority of parallel processors were women, so the Gauntlet boys were a minority. That's interesting. Today had become a rare all-boy gathering. I suppose all factions are the same. Middle-aged men who act all important are always scum. Are COU instructors scum too? I figured they'd be wise compared to our instructor. Ooh! If they had a scummy instructor battle standard festival, our COU team would take golds in every event. At least they're a bit better than our ABN instructors in that you're allowed to openly criticize them. I imagine that if you badmouth your instructors in the ABN, you'll get arrested on the spot, yes? In a country where you can't insult anyone to their face, you form a culture capable of insulting people without it sounding like you're insulting them. Sounds nice. So, for example, what would you say to an irritating superior officer who never shows any appreciation for their subordinates' work? It's our way to say the opposite of what we mean. something like, "I am truly grateful for the heartfelt support you always show me, instructor." Nice, I'll take it.
A friend has arrived, Poyo!
Ishak, Abdu, you were lounging about here. Get back to our training. When it comes to training, fighting spirit and guts are vital. Be honored by the opportunity to sweat for my sake. Your Grace, thank you for your ever-present heartfelt support. That's funny. For which we are ever so grateful, Princess Retabil.
Huh? Right. Very well then.
That was funny. In any era, getting to complain together and feel a sense of camaraderie is the best part of talking with close friends. Furthermore, they were used to background operation, so they could chat like this at any time, without having to worry about time zones or even what the other person was doing at that moment. It was a wonderful era they were in. In this era, high-quality sleep substitute drugs had been developed, so sleep was no longer necessary. Okay. Humanity had effectively doubled the density and time in a human life. But, of course, it wasn't a perfect, dreamlike drug. It only freed you from the need to sleep, so if you wanted to maintain your concentration, you needed to rely on things like that ancient drug, caffeine. If you tried to study for a test all night, you might not get sleepy, but you'd get bored and start hating it halfway through. For most people, who didn't have anything they needed to do so badly that it was worth abandoning sleep, it wasn't really that valuable. After all, it can get pretty boring if you have no work or any desire to do anything until dawn, and you're incapable of feeling sleepy, even if you lay down. So, this drug was only used regularly by the young, who could never find enough time to study and play. Thanks to that, the young lost the concept of time zones. They were always awake, so they could communicate with anyone regardless of day and night, even if that person was on the other side of the planet. The fact that they were capable of communication this rich was a powerful weapon in the young one's arsenal. I think I'm gonna increase the text speed. This wasn't there before. We can also take a look at this. This is nice to have, but yeah, I think it's a little, my mouse will show up. Oh, there we go. I think it's a little bit slow. I don't know if it was on slow or medium. It's kind of, you know what, in case it was on slow, I'll put it on medium, and if we need to increase it later, we can. But let's read through these profiles. So we've got Mitake Miao from AOU Japan, a member of the 0017th Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad, Warcat of the AOU Combined Military Central HQ. The current world record holder for highest P3 level measurements. His overwhelming score far surpassed second place. Current Gauntlet engineering is unable to make use of most of his P3 potential, so he's currently in a state where his talent has outstripped technology. Because of his unique level of ability, the AOU Next Generation Genetic Research Center and the AOU Joint Parliament have budgeted $100 million towards his genetic analysis. Okay. Jaden, or let's see, how do I, oh, I'm still on this, I guess. Oh, here we go, Jaden from AOU America, a member of the 0017th Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad Warcat, the AOU Combined Military Central HQ. Despite being an NPP, he made it into the top 3 in AOU America Combined P3 examination, which was completely dominated by CPPs. In subsequent examinations, it was discovered that the chemicals produced in his brain and their receptors exhibited abnormal behavior. The AOU America Advanced Research Facility for National Defense determined that this was an extremely rare mental power, one that was neither superior nor inferior to CPPs, and they designated him as a special research subject. Also, the super genius. Gunhild from AOU Sweden, from Warcat. During her 3-year-old childhood health examination, she had average P3 levels, so she was removed from the selective training course. However, thanks to acquired PP training she took later on, her levels rose dramatically. Though she was selected as a candidate at the extremely late age of 12, the growth of her mental power didn't stop there, and she became Northern Europe's top ace thanks to effort rather than talent. The ALU Combined Military's Aerial Augmented Infantry Command Center granted her the position of Counselor's Special Assistant, with the right to speak at the Research Development Council for PP training methods. Interesting. Chloe from ALU Canada, a member of the 100th Aerial Augmented Infantry's Experimental Squad, Grave Mole, of the ALU Combined Military Gavroy Level 4 Heavy Military Research Center. She was chosen for the selective training course, but her grades were slow to improve, and she lost confidence in herself. Her grades tended to be particularly bad when working with groups, and an excessively low level of self-empowerment was diagnosed as the cause. Currently, she takes part in counseling and mental power correction research at the Gavroy Level 4 Heavy Military Research Center. Partly because of her results there, she's now known as one of the most capable gauntlet knights in North America. Koshka from ALU Russia, this is the same, Grave Mole. She is currently serving time as a Class 1 criminal. Her crime is not public knowledge, but has been allowed to leave in exchange for volunteering as a research subject at the Gavroy Level 4 Heavy Military Research Center. That research center and the Russian government have not publicly released details concerning her mental capacity, so her talent and potential are unknown. The range of her P3 levels varies widely and is unstable. However, though it's unofficial and it only happened once, she has supposedly surpassed the highest P3 level measurements of Meow, the world record holder, by a considerable margin. Interesting. And Lilia from Finland, and this is the same. She is currently serving time as a Class 1 criminal. Her crime is not public knowledge, but has been allowed to leave in exchange for volunteering as a research subject at the Gavroy Level 4 Heavy Military Research Center. Her grades at the Somenlina Aerial Augmented Infantry School before her arrest were incredible, and her records at that school still haven't been broken. Large changes have been noticed in her personality and character since her imprisonment, and some sort of experiment at the research center is rumored to be the cause. And we have Lingji from COU China, a member of the Imperial Guard Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad Baibao of the COU Combined Military HQ. During her newborn mental evaluation, she was recognized as a National Special Growth Target. Later on, she was given the best of educations, complete with the best human resources, material resources, and budget, and was fated to become the queen of the Aerial Augmented Infantry representing all allied countries of the COU. She then splendidly answered to those expectations as the strongest gauntlet knight in the COU. The Kunlun Military Research City proposed a 5-year plan with an annual budget of 100 million won for the purpose of copying her mental ability, and this request was accepted. And then Momotage from COU Japan, same affiliation. He was assigned to Baibao Squad, where, for the sake of providing support to the COU's Queen of Aerial Augmented Infantry, Lingji, teamwork and communication were more highly valued than high P3 levels. Simply going by his numerical measurements, it would be hard to call him the best candidate, but it was determined that he was the wingman most capable of maximizing Lingji's potential. Even so, he is now the Naha Aerial Augmented Infantry School's biggest hero since its establishment, and they recently held an unveiling ceremony for a bronze statue of him. I'm sure he loves that. And then we've got Aisha from COU Indonesia, same affiliation with Baibao. As a trainee, she was praised for being a hard worker and a model student, but her innate talent was judged to be below average. Later, she volunteered to be sent to the Kunlun Military Research City as a test subject. As a result of their research, they discovered that she was immensely talented at observing airspaces using 8MS, and she made a comeback as an aerial augmented infantry soldier focusing on specialized techniques for observation and detection. Furthermore, she later achieved good marks on compatibility tests with Lingji and was promoted quickly through the ranks to land in Baibao Squad. She would then become the ideal supporter to bolster that squad's efforts. Interesting. And we've got Sujata from COU India, a member of the 301st Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad Suparna of the COU Combined Military Central General Corps 1st Branch. During her newborn mental evaluation, she was recognized as a National Special Growth Target, and she also graduated from an Aerial Augmented Infantry Officers School with grades well ahead of the pack. However, it was recently discovered that she had a flaw, whereby her P3 levels would become unstable while under particular kinds of stress. Now, in order to help her overcome this flaw, a research team has begun offering her support. She's incredibly straight-laced and is always putting herself under high-stress conditions, so her support team is always recommending that she rest or find a hobby. Oh, what is this change equip? Oh, you can see the arm, whatever. Oh, I should know, the Gauntlet Knight arm. That's cool. Then we have Rakshana from COU Saudi Arabia and also in Suparna. In her home country, only men attended aerial augmented infantry schools, but her P3 levels were so high that the king commanded that she be given a special exception. Her personality isn't suited for being in the aerial augmented infantry, but she earns top grades in all forms of training. Her simulator grades are the best in the COU-controlled section of the Middle East. Her non-confrontational personality and tendency to focus on defense are thought to be signs that she best embodies the soldier who protects peace, so she is very highly regarded. That is interesting. I do like her. We haven't heard a lot from her because she's shy, but I don't know. I like her so far. Andri from COU Madagascar, a member of still same Suparna. Supposedly, the reason he wasn't discovered by the national exams was because he likes to slack off, and he wasn't at school on the day of the exam. Even though enrollment into the aerial augmented infantry's course usually starts at preschool, he began at age 13, becoming the latest blooming ace on the planet, as well as the person who reached this position in the shortest period of time. Yeah, they must all be starting very young, considering they're all during their newborn exams. And Gunhild was 12, and I would assume everyone else was selected much earlier. Interesting. And Naima from ABN Iraq, a member of the ABN Peace Department's Holy 0901st Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad, Thalathat Suyuf. She has been attached to the Berlin Research I'm always trip over this word. Is it monastery of peace and friendship since the age of 0 as a graduate student for special instruction. She's received an elite aerial augmented infantry education. She's undergone training that allows her P3 level peaks to be manually controlled via the administration of drugs, and rumor has it that she surpasses even the top aces of other countries in this state. Her brain isn't impeded by the application of drugs, but there have been unsubstantiated charges that countless graduate students have suffered brain damage as part of the research process. Interesting. Okay, and then we've got Stanislaw from Poland. The ABN Aerial Augmented Infantry enthusiastically makes use of drugs to manage P3 levels, so all squads have a member with a medical role who manages the team's physical condition. He's a rare human resource who's qualified to be a doctor in addition to being in the Aerial Augmented Infantry, and he's in charge of accompanying and managing Naima, the Peace Department's secret weapon. He's been trained to act with doctor's calm, avoiding wasting mental resources on emotion and keeping his cool in all situations. I keep forgetting to look at the gauntlet arm. Naomi from France. She has completed mental optimization training by use of drugs at the Mont Saint Michel Research Monastery. Oh, it's so embarrassing, but it is what it is. By nature, she has average P3 levels, but thanks to high detail resource management, she's able to command immense P3 levels during missions, on par with aces from all nations. She claims to have suffered a loss of some of her emotions and memories as part of this optimization training, and has been classified as a level 12 disabled veteran by the ABN Department of Health. For this, she receives a monthly allowance of €3. Oh, so nice for her. I like her too. So far. And then we've got the Yuri squad. Okay, Leah from Avian Israel. Yeah, I know this came out in 2019. Yeah, it is what it is. Her ability to sing and dance for public relations purposes is prized even more highly than her aerial augmented infantry aptitude. Her P3 levels are not public knowledge, but she is included on lists of ABN Gauntlet Knight aces, leaving no doubts that she possesses considerable talent. Before she joined the ABN Peace Department, she was attached to the ABN Guidance Department. Her history before that is classified due to undisclosed activities involving good deeds. Interesting. Then we've got Fatma from ABN Turkey. Oh, I didn't read because they're in a different affiliation. A member of the ABN Peace Department's 012th Holy Agent Corps, Yıldadot Shabi. A popular blogger who writes about the daily life of an active duty member of the Aerial Augmented Infantry, and a poll of ABN elementary schoolers, her popularity was always in the top 3. Some reports say that before joining the ABN Peace Department, she received missionary training at the ABN Missionary Department. Her P3 levels are not public knowledge, but it's clear from her excellent movement that it's a very high number, and that her aerial augmented infantry aptitude is quite high as well. And then Stefania from ABN Romania. She's a former idol originally from a caravan, which traveled to elementary schools all over the ABN, recruiting volunteers for monasteries of peace. Her P3 levels are not public knowledge, but in videos taken by the caravan, she achieved world-class marks, though they came with the warning that this was just a preliminary measurement. There was an event where 20 idols were allowed to join the caravan for a trial period, but except for her, none of them showed up in later videos. I see. This is a fun group as well. Then we have Retabil from ACR South Africa, a member of the June 1st King's Tour Memorial Squad of the ACR Royal Aerial Knight Corps, a princess from the ACR royal family and the 21st in line to the throne. All of the royal family's princes and princesses are supposedly talented gauntlet knights with extremely high P3 levels, but she's the only one who has been seen flying in the public eye. She displays genius-class P3 levels, has been given the best of education since infancy, and has the aptitude of an aerial augmented infantry prodigy. Many call her the strongest ace in the southern hemisphere. Then we have Ishak from ACR Algeria, a member of the same affiliation. After his 3-year-old examination, he was put into an instructive strengthening course for the Aerial Knight Corps and became an ace who fought his way up from obscurity, achieving victories against countless geniuses. Though none of his aptitudes are ace class, the history of how he won through with hard work and fighting spirit is simply amazing. With his flawless performance both in martial arts and studying, as well as the courtly manners he's developed, he's often thought of as the aerial knight directly serving the royal family, who best exemplifies that role. Forgive me for stumbling a lot, so it's a lot of reading at once, but that's what we're signed up for here. Then we have Abdou from ACR Senegal. Because of a streak of bad luck, he was kicked out of the elite course despite having considerable aerial augmented infantry talent. Ishak recognized his talent and recommended him for the aerial knights. Retabil took a liking to him, which brings us to the present day. His P3 level measurements are very unstable, but many people call him a diamond in the rough, who stands out more and more the longer he trains. Then we've got... Oh, I didn't realize you can click on these. Maybe we'll go through all of those at the end. But for now, Noor, from ACR Egypt, a member of the Queen's Cairo Visit Memorial Squad of the ACR Combined Military 1st Aerial Knight Corps. Her P3 levels are far from high, but she's extremely skilled at self-management techniques that allow her levels to peak out during actual combat. Despite her horrible grades when she first entered the ACR Egypt Aerial Knight Corps, she eventually became the unshakable top scorer. The mental concentration techniques she says were passed down to her from her ancestors are now compulsory for Aerial Knight Corps access now compulsory for Aerial Knight Corps across the ACR. Then we've got Ganet from ACR Ethiopia, a member of the Queen's Cairo Visit Memorial. Can you tell? Reading 3, 6, 9, 12, many names is taking, or many profiles is taking his name. Oh my gosh. I'll stop recording and resume. I need to get some water, I think. Okay, Ganet from ACR Ethiopia. a genius member of the Aerial Augmented Infantry who entered the ACR Ethiopian Aerial Night Corps at the age of 9. In addition to her extremely high P3 levels, she uses ultra-high-speed mental processing techniques that are subconscious even to her and defy analysis. These are thought to be some sort of supernatural power. The ACR Royal Brainpower Research Center investigated her for years, but they gave up on their analysis and the team was disbanded. Then we have Mariana from ACR Angola, a member of the same Queen's Cairo Visit Memorial Squad. Of the young children who received mental training at the Lubango Toddler Research... Oh my gosh. Seems that water wasn't enough. At the Lubango Toddler Brainpower Research Center, she was the only one who achieved P3 levels that could compete with the world's best. Despite the fact that her aerial augmented infantry aptitude was merely average, her immense mental ability led her to having the highest grades in the ACR Angola Aerial Night Corps. Currently, the ACR Royal Brainpower Research Center has set up a research team for the sole purpose of raising her aerial augmented infantry aptitude. Then we have Valentina from Lato, Brazil, a member of the Healthy Military Balance Oversight Committee of the International Peace Mediation Association Military. Her P3 levels and aerial augmented infantry aptitude are high, and it's estimated that she's able to wield considerable power using her personally customized gauntlet, which is a signature of Lato. However, her true ability is unknown. Nonetheless, according to the profile of her made public by the authorities, she has dominated in South America's Endurance Combat Flying Division. Oh, it looks like a little trumpet, or not a trumpet, but you know what I mean. Trombone, I guess. I played trombone when I was 10. Okay. Anyways, I actually want to see hers too. Oh, it's the same. Okay, because I haven't been good at checking. I don't know if they all have the same ones or not. Yeah, it looks like they're all kind of the same theme. And that maybe goes for, like, the, between the different smaller sections. Well, I don't know. Well, these ones are a lot more different. That's cool. I think I looked at hers, actually. Theirs are, like, identical. I see. These ones are different. But cool. Cool. Ooh, that one's a different shape. I see. Meows. Jaden's is kind of different. They're like kind of armory, I guess. I see. And then let's go back and read Mari Carmen. From Lato, Mexico, a member of the Healthy Military Balance Oversight Committee of the International Peace Mediation Association Military. She has a natural talent for acrobatic flying, and it's thought that she would have been guaranteed a medal if she had been able to participate in the Battle Standard Festival. She's been in the acrobatics division so long, many thought she wasn't well suited for combat, but later it was revealed that she was a star pupil who had received combat training at a special institution. It's suspected that her true power is an unknown quantity, even within Lato. When she formed a rote, I think that's the word, with Valentina, it was thought that her power would finally be revealed, but she's only gotten so-so scores so far. She remains an unknown quantity. I see, and then Keropollo, of the Audi Frog family and the genius Audi Frog, a freely distributed AI character icon. The default character icon of various communication tools, recognized as the most talked to thing in the world by the Arthur World Records. As a side note, the most common phrase said to it is, "How do I delete you?" It's often criticized for being foul-mouthed or perverted, but this is merely Keropollo communicating in a way that's optimized for the individual user. Once, a certain senator apparently complained that Keropollo was unsuitable for young men due to its propensity for seeking out adult videos of mature women, thereby digging his own grave. Additionally, because of Keropollo, most 8-3W children believe that frogs have belly buttons. Yeah, that happens. guess he doesn't have a gauntlet knight thing. And then, I know this is a lot of heavy reading, but let's go back and do the, I don't know if they're, well, I guess they're the different squads. So, yes, let's read through these real quick. So, Warcat. Attached to the AOU Combined Military Central HQ, the 017th Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad Warcat. Currently the strongest cat among all of the AOU's aerial augmented infantry. After fierce battles against powerful rivals, they won their seats as representatives of the AOU at the International Battle Standard Festival. Their cat is composed of 2 attackers and 1 defender. They use the Kuruma Gakari formation, which theoretically switches out attackers for defenders before they get tired, thereby ensuring that they're always able to carry out their mission with 2 active attackers. Then Grave Mole. Attached to the AOU Combined Military Gayroy Level 4 Heavy Military Research Center, the 100th Aerial Augmented Infantry Experimental Squad Grave Mole. An experimental squad attached to a military research center. It was entered into the International Battle Standard Festival as the result of a political decision for the purpose of collecting research data. Their cat is composed of 2 defenders and 1 sniper, making for an extremely defensive pattern. Chloe manages all of the autonomous weaponry used for establishing a position. Lilia controls the skies with a swarm of air defense drones, and Koshka focuses on intercepting attacks as a sniper. This fighting style is ideally suited for one of the Battle Standard Festival's events, Tower Defense, and they are expected to medal there. And then let's move on to Baibao. Attached to the COU Combined Military HQ Imperial Guard Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad, Baibao. Currently the best of the aerial augmented infantry squads across the COU, this Ket is fated to reign supreme at all times. Their Ket is composed of 1 attacker, 1 responder, and 1 supporter. Baibao squad is like a single swordsman built out of 3 people in well-defined roles, with Lingji as the attack sword, Momotaka is the short sword in the other hand, used to attack and defend as needed, and Aisha as the eyes and ears. For that reason, some might fear that they would stop functioning if even a single cog was missing. However, in practice, this Ket has performed excellently and stands at the peak of the COU aerial augmented infantry. And then Suparna, attached to the COU Combined Military Central General Corps 1st Branch, 301st Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad, Suparna. Because Baibao Squad is deified in the COU for propaganda purposes, Suparna Squad is often relegated into obscurity. However, they're more than strong enough to serve as Baibao's other half, so they were unsurprisingly selected as contestants for the International Battle Standard Festival. Their Ket is composed of 1 responder, 1 defender, and 1 fire support. They're the exact opposite of Baibao Squad, focusing mainly on fights that aren't against aerial augmented infantry units. What other fights are there, I wonder? Then we have Thalathat Suyuf, attached to the ABN Peace Department, the Holy 0901st Aerial Augmented Infantry Squad, Thalathat Suyuf. A Ket formed around Naima, the ABN's mysterious trump card. Sorry, I read that kind of weird. This is another one-man ace-style team, like the COU's Baibao Squad. Their Ket is composed of 1 attacker and 2 responders, or possibly 1 attacker and 2 supporters. Stanislaw and Naomi. I feel like I read her name different every time, but we'll stick with Naomi for now. Change how they support Naima depending on the situation. Until recently, Naima was assigned to an experimental division, and her very existence was covered by a veil. She first became known when she was chosen as a representative for the International Battle Standard Festival. This probably means that, as a research subject, she had reached a level of completion that made it worth betting the honor of the faction on her at the festival. Then we've got Yeladot Shavit. Attached to the ABN Peace Department, the 012 Holy Agent Corps, Yeladot Shavit. Ever since the aerial augmented infantry was first created, the ABN leadership has had doubts as to whether it would be possible to suppress an uprising of ace units if one were to occur. So, following a pattern exactly opposite to the one-man ace style of Thalathat Suyuf, they carried out trial and error experiments based on the concept of confronting a single ace with a team of 3. Yeldadot Shavit is a successful product of this initiative. Additionally, though the Holy Agent Corps is often viewed as a propaganda corps aimed at youngsters, some suspect that they're actually barrier troops. Then we've got the June 1st King's Tour Memorial Squad, also known as Squad 601, attached to the ACR Royal Aerial Night Corps, a one-man ace cat that exists for the sole purpose of assisting Princess Ritaville of the ACR. To the ACR royal family and military, the activities and appearance of this princess are nothing more or less than the ultimate propaganda material. Furthermore, she's well down the line of succession, and it would be possible to deify her if she perished in the line of duty. So while they give her the best support available, they also mercilessly place her on the front lines. However, Ritaville herself wants to go to the front lines, and seems to have decided inside her heart that if she's fated to perish anyway, she might as well do it gloriously. And we've got, attached to the ACR Combined Military, part of the 1st Aerial Night Corps, the Queen's Cairo Visit Memorial Squad, also known as the Cairo Squad. The ACR tends to value exceptional individual achievement over group action. The Cairo Squad is one among many squads composed of the best talent from the Aerial Augmented Infantry divisions serving under the ACR Combined Military. Their unique Ket is composed of 3 responders. Unlike Ket from other factions, they're under no obligations to work in concert with each other, and each is allowed to do as they see fit. This might make it sound like there's no reason for them to be a Ket, but their relationship, while unusual, is not a bad one, and they alternate between coordinating, protecting each other, and competing with each other, all according to their own rules. And then lastly, we have Lato, I think this is Lato. Oh my gosh, there's more! It's part of Lato. Attached to the International Peace Mediation Association Military, the Healthy Military Balance Oversight Committee. There's a so-called police force in charge of observing and intervening in disputes around the world, as well as being the de facto Lato military. Though they acknowledge the existence of regional disputes, they set upper limits on the amount of arms that can be used and watch the situation closely. This policy is based on the idea that feuds resulting from a healthy military balance can calm the emotions of governments and people on both sides, resulting in a cooling-off period sufficiently long to allow them to talk it over rationally. And then quickly, let's go through all of the unions, I guess they were, or, I don't know, the larger groups. So we've got the AOU, the Arctic Ocean Union, a faction that formed around an alliance between AOU America and AOU Russia, 2 B3W superpowers. Their highest goal is to restore the world order from the B3W era, regaining worldwide hegemony. I don't know. I read this word, I never say it out loud. With their 2 core countries once again. After the nuclear war, they chose to manage childbirth through factories. By rapidly recovering the size of their populations and selecting for genes, they also managed to eliminate various hereditary diseases. Okay, so maybe a little bit of eugenics. They're known for being extremely conscious of human rights, and they tend to intervene when they see human rights issues in other countries, claiming to be vanguards for worldwide justice. Because it's a faction of humans born from factories, other factions view them as a land of cold-blooded values. Okay. COU, Central Ocean Union, a faction formed around an alliance between COU China and COU India, 2 new superpowers that rose near the end of the B3W period. Also, I think maybe this is obvious, but I think B3W is like before the Third War, or like World War III. I don't know if they actually said that before. I don't know, there's so many acronyms and like many of them I don't know what they're really talking about, but this one I got. Anyways, it was formed as a reaction to the AOU's push for a return to the old world order. For that reason, it has stood in opposition to the AOU ever since its founding. They're the only one of the factions that maintains their B3W sense of values, and they claim to be the only group of nations where ancient traditions and the human heart still live on. That might be why they tend to look down on other nations, calling them cold-blooded and inhumane. It's said to be a country where connections and money do all the talking, and the other factions view it as corrupt. Then we've got ABN, the Abrahamic Brother Nations, also known as the Europe/Middle East Alliance. Using the end of World War III as a turning point, the 3 religions that once stood in opposition succeeded in a historic reconciliation. The result was this newly born religious nation group. They're extremely respectful of religious traditions and precepts, and for the sake of protecting religious freedom, slander against other religions is strictly prohibited. The religious police who oversee this are famous for being incredibly strict. They claim to be a beautiful, reverent nation group that respects precepts, traditions, and religious art. For that reason, they pity other factions and work to expand their influence and evangelize. Okay. ACR, the Africa Commonwealth Realm. Immediately following World War III, a hero king shockingly united the African continent. He built up a powerful group of nations that now forms one of the world's great factions. Rather than trying to forcibly integrate all of Africa's countless ancient cultures and religions, the Commonwealth King ruled while serving as the highest-ranking member of all cultures and religions. While they respect tradition and culture, they have also taken up factory-managed childbirth following the AOU's example, claiming to be a new nation group that combines both tradition and the state of the art. And finally, for real this time, I think, unless there are any other secret buttons around, LATO, the Latin American Treaty Organization. In the early part of the A3W era, they were blessed with rich spirit fields of rare spiridium and rapidly became the most prosperous countries in the world. LATO controls the main source of the world's spiridium, so none of the other factions can say no to them. They currently function as the central axis of the world and are filled with the headquarters of various international organizations. That massive financial power is the backdrop for a strong military, and they refer to themselves as the World Police, as America once did in the B3W era. Their people are incredibly well off, and it's the #1 most chosen reason for places I want to be reborn in. LATO's citizens are wealthy and have no worries. The other factions watching them seem to be extremely jealous. And okay, there's the end of that impromptu going through all of this, but I don't know, I liked reading through it. I feel like I get a better sense of everyone's like individuality after just seeing them all like thrown at me at once in the last chapter. And obviously the politics, which are very complicated. I think that gave me a better idea, but if you just skip to the end of this part, now we're back, which is okay, I forgive you. And let's save while we're at it, and go back. And we'll see how the text speed is. What a diversion. Okay, I think I did read this already. Though some places did close down in the middle of the night, the shopping district was always open, even at this hour. Jaden could be seen in the nighttime shopping district, during a time range when only young people who loved the anti-sleeping drug were up and about. And let's make it fast and see how that is. Oh, that's very fast. Are we sure it wasn't on slow? I don't know. Damn it. For Jaden, all that complaining and laughing with friends in the public bath had made for a good change of pace. At least, the part about complaining about instructors had. Meow. Go at least a little easy on me. His lectures are like a tornado of good points. I can't contradict him, so I wish... damn it. He couldn't call Meow a bastard or an asshole. All his points were right on the mark. When Jaden actually followed those suggestions, he noticed the difference clearly. All he could do then was lick the wounds that had been inflicted on super genius Jaden's pride. I love Jaden. Aren't we war buddies from the same cat? Even if you're right, couldn't you say it a bit more nicely? True to what Jaden had always claimed, he was enough of a genius ace to earn the super qualification. For a long time, he had never been inferior to anyone around him in any way. However, that was when he'd been surrounded by what he called normal people. When surrounded by the best gauntlet aces, the ultimate collection of talent, he couldn't always be on top. Of that group, only Mitake Meow felt like a rival he might not be able to match. Even though, until recently, Jaden had always focused on his own victory, achieving success again and again. It's because he's always looking at his opponent. While doing his best to achieve victory, Meow would simultaneously search to find out how he could counter his opponent's best. And he would accurately notice when those opponents did well or badly, even when said opponents didn't notice it themselves. Right. After getting criticized again and again and again, there was no compliment at the end today. That's why I'm so down. Meow's lecture mode today was a rush of valid points and data, as usual. Oh, it's Jaden narration. But after I get beaten down, he's supposed to finish it with a compliment, so I can look forward to hearing him make suggestions. He's so sad, he's like a wet cat. And today, the instructor butted in. Meow's lecture mode got cut off. You're pathetic, super genius Jaden. Since when has my mood jumped all over the place because of every word that skinny pipsqueak says? Wait a sec. I'm obsessing over this way too much. How the heck did I get here? I checked with my mental display and saw that I had traveled several stations down. I didn't come to this place often. Still, if I wanted to totally reset my mood, coming to a part of the city I wasn't used to may have been just what I needed. I looked around. Information from countless shops flooded my brain. Of course, getting hit with a flood of information just leads to confusion, so I used one of my favorite information filters and simplified the data in my vision. When I did, a nearby game center was marked as recommended.
Boyo! I found a recommended spot according to your tastes! It's the Game Salon Armageddon, boyo! Rating 4 stars, safety 4 stars, cleanliness 3 stars.
It was my first time going to this place, but it didn't look bad. And, according to its description, one of its popular games had just received an update. Nice! It's been a while since I filled the high score list with my name. Those tables look like pancakes. I know they're not, but just food for thought. I'm gonna assume this isn't jaded narration for now, but I will seamlessly switch back if that is not the case. In this era, even game centers were decorated like fancied Victorian-style salons on the inside. However, the lines of beautifully adorned sofas had a lot of wiring, like a military simulator. In an era with mental displays, anyone could play games even during class without anyone else knowing. However, the locations called game centers were a bit different. In addition to the mental display, they also projected the game screen on a spatial display. Why? Isn't it obvious? To show off your skill to people you've never seen before. Of course, even in this era, game live streams on the internet were alive and well. Guys, it's just like me. You can interact with them in many ways, including voice and text. However, some demanding young people felt that there was no replacement for the sensation of seeing live reactions. Because of these people, relics from the old world like game centers still existed, and boldly so, despite how far civilization had advanced. Good live gameplay requires a crowd of young people to watch. They get to have a great time, cheering and/or showing their disappointment in an exaggerated manner. That takes me back. I remember when I'd go into game centers where all the neighborhood brats hung out. He bought a drink as a substitute for the entry fee, and then sat down in a random empty seat. Gloomy people vaguely lacking in self-confidence might sit in the corner, even though they wanted to be seen. However, Super Genius Jaden wasn't like that. He'd sit openly in the throne right in the middle, left open because of that special Japanese brand of embarrassment that they call humility. His cellcom immediately informed him that it had successfully connected to his seat. Then, the display told him that he could benefit from a promotional campaign if he entered his Kizuna ID. Actually, he'd had his Kizuna set to off. If he hadn't, then a friend would have heartlessly messaged him, regardless of whether he was feeling neurotic or depressed. At that moment, he wanted some time to himself, so he didn't activate Kizuna and chose not to participate in the promo. Well, if I get an ultra-high score and expose my ID, I'll get so many friend requests from people I don't know, it'll be a pain. In any era, if you carelessly expose your personal information, you'll get a rush of weird direct mail and sales calls. Okay, let's do this! Hilarious, right? A Gauntlet Knight got depressed by his training. I don't know if this is Jaden. A Gauntlet Knight got depressed by his training, so to shake it off, he started playing a game about Gauntlet Knights. Gauntlet Knights, who could fly unassisted and dominate a battlefield on their own, were what kids around the world wanted to become. So, there were many games that simulated being a Gauntlet Knight. This was also a useful way in all countries to find people with high aptitudes. For that reason, games like this were placed in game centers all over the world. I love flying solo. No need to keep perfect pace with a noisy partner. The quality here was much lower than a military simulator, but for a game, this was more than good enough. Furthermore, all his experiences from normal training would come back to him, and the realism could be supplemented by his brain and grow pretty intense. This was his first time playing at this game center, so he would run through the tutorial first and get a feel for this particular location. Now to select a difficulty level. Easy, normal, hard? Yeah, right. I'll boldly flick my mental tablet. The word hard instantly shot off the top of the screen, which scrolled down to the no hand-holding settings like ultra hard and nightmare. The one I chose is the last one. Real Gauntlet Knight. Let's go. I'll show them I'm a super genius. I want him to fail on his butt.
No way, is he really doing it on real?
Is he crazy? He's got all his controls set to manual.
He's unreal. What's he gonna do about the Stage 7 boss's missile barrage?
The Stage 7 boss was modeled off the Atlantis, the ACR combined military Super Fortress class segmented warship. It was made up of 7 connected Super Fortress class warships, meaning it was more than just a ship. It was a fortress on the sea. A barrage of countless missiles was being launched from there, drawing a beautiful geometric shape that dazzled any who saw it. Here I go! Whoa, awesome! Look at him move!
Crap, I feel sick just watching this. Is this guy a god?
He's such a gamer, guys. He magnificently dodged the countless guided missiles chasing after him, shooting them down with perfect accuracy. Just like a missile matador. The excitement in the store reached a crescendo, and the noise made even passerby stop and look. When Jaden completed the game to the utmost excitement, he waved back at the cheering young people throughout the salon. Ooh! Thank you! Thanks for your support! This really does feel good. Thank God I came to this game center. Now that uneasy feeling is gone. Jaden sank deep into the sofa, enjoying the feeling, and slowly sipped his drink. The excitement in the salon calmed down, and everyone went back to enjoying their own games or watching others. If you register a Kizuna ID, you can take advantage of our Point Rally Start Dash campaign. It's because I was playing pretty well just now. They don't want to miss out because I'm an unregistered user. Okay, might as well register. I'll have to add a comment that I'm not taking friend requests. He set his Kizuna, which had been off, to on. He immediately received several ad emails.
A friend has arrived for you!
Already? Who is it? Kizuna always displayed a message like that when a friend's avatar came to visit over the internet, or if a friend came near you in real life. This wasn't an avatar visit. Did that mean one of his friends was nearby? The friend's sign was very close. Apparently I didn't see them because I was set to off, but they're actually inside this store. That's a bit cold, not saying hi even though they're in the same game center. Who is it? Where are they? I tried to check their friend sign through my mental tablet, but it suddenly disappeared. Now that it was gone, I had no way of knowing the person's name or where they were. Hey, that's creepy. In other words, a friend inside the store had realized that Jaden was nearby, and had hurriedly set their Kizuna to off. That does tick me off a bit. I don't know who it is, but I think they need a good talking to. That's not something that you do to your friends, right? I've got to give them a big lecture filled with valid points and lots of data, huh? I looked around the store. Okay, where are you hiding? There were more customers than usual at this time of day, partly due to the after effects of Jaden's super playing. This person probably knew who Jaden was, so if he set up camp in front of the store, they probably wouldn't come strolling out. He checked the store map from his Kizuna. There was one more route out of the store, the back door near the bathroom. Look, there's the shadow of a person rushing through, and clearly not someone who has to use the bathroom. Hey, wait! Hey, you're Meow, right?
Hey, wait! He recognized the person from behind. It was definitely Mitake Meow, his partner from the War Cats. Though he could hear Jaden, he was hurrying away, trying to blend in with the shopping center crowd. Interestingly, he was leaving with a quick, shuffling walk. Jaden, feeling that it'd be unfair to run after him, followed along with a similar shuffling walk. Wait, hey! Meow! Meow! Why are you shutting your Kizuna off and running away? That's creepy, man. Hey, is it something I did? Something during training just now? Did I do something so weird that it pissed you off? Meow continued that shuffling walk without turning around. Jaden chased after him in the same way, calling out questions and complaints at Meow's back. To anyone watching this, it probably looked as though they were having a lover's quarrel. Or... Hey, I may be a gentleman, but I've just about had it, okay? As expected, there was no response. However, Meow was Meow. It couldn't possibly be anyone else. After all, considering how long Jaden had been following them, someone other than Meow would have called the police by now. I've just about had it. You've got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. I've had enough. This time I'm the lecturer. I'll make Meow say he's sorry. Hey, wait! Meow! Ah! Jaden raced forward, grabbed Meow's thin arms, and forcibly spun him around. However... Meow? Huh? Crap. Did I really mistake him for someone else? That's not possible. You're Meow, right? You are, aren't you? It was almost as though he was trying to convince himself rather than interrogate this person. He did think it was Mitake Meow. His eyes and his nose and his mouth. Many bits of information made it clear that this was Meow himself. However, well, the atmosphere about him, or something Jaden couldn't really describe, belonged to something that resembled Meow, yet wasn't. Only then, Jaden realized that Meow's whole demeanor was different from usual, and the color of his lips seemed more sensual or something. The skinniness of the shoulder he was grasping was definitely Meow's, but now that skinniness felt like something of the opposite sex. Could this be a girl who looked just like Meow? Wait. You're Meow, right? You are, aren't you? I'm not Meow. Liar. Then turn your Kizuna on. No. Crap, this totally looks like a couple fighting. The eyes of people walking by hurt. Jaden took the guy who was definitely Meow but claimed not to be. No, maybe this isn't even a guy. He took the kid into a nearby store and sat them down. I don't really know what to make of what's going on right now. I'll wait and see. But by this point, a certain possibility had risen to Jaden's mind. I'm a super genius, so I don't really get it. But aren't lots of Gauntlet Night candidates? Now I've done it. Sorry. He had planned on making this person apologize, but in the end, Jaden was the one who apologized. You're one of those, aren't you? Your body is Mitake Meow, but you aren't, right? As though giving up, the person shut their eyes tight and gave a slight nod. Sorry, I didn't know. To become a parallel processor, you needed to undergo special training from a young age. However, that didn't mean all babies had equal amounts of talent. No matter how much one trained, some people couldn't become parallel processors, while some developed surprising amounts of talent with very little effort. It was well known that people with natural talents like this often developed a certain type of split personality. Multiple personality disorder. Hey, dissociative identity disorder is the more modern term
in its commonly known form, occurs when neural trauma creates a data partition in the brain and gives birth to a new personality, one that hasn't been influenced by the trauma, in order to protect one's mind. This is an acquired trait. However, in extremely rare cases, multiple personalities can appear as a congenital trait. Unlike acquired multiple personality disorder, its biggest identifying feature is that the personalities can be awake at the same time. It means that two consciousnesses can literally exist simultaneously in a single body. They can each think of and concentrate on different things. In fact, they can apparently even have verbal arguments with each other using the same mouth. They truly are born parallel processors. As you might expect, the training they received at a young age was more effective for them than it was for single personalities, and this improved more the more personalities they had. Since Gauntlet Knights needed to be capable of parallel thinking, humans born with multiple simultaneous thoughts in the same brain made for incredibly suitable candidates. So, according to one theory, 30% of famous Gauntlet Knights, or 60% according to a different theory, had this special kind of congenital multiple personality disorder. Furthermore, these people would feel hurt if you called it multiple personality disorder, so they were now referred to as CPPs, congenital parallel processors. I remember that from the bios, or whatever. Interesting. When I was in America, I had a friend who was congenital. I was a brat who didn't really understand, so I kept saying, "Show me a different personality and do something crazy," treating him like some kind of show instead of thinking about how he must have felt. I regret it now. No matter how much talent you have, it's never pleasant when people look at you strangely. So, even though Gauntlet Knights have become a shared dream for kids all over the world, almost no one comes out as a CPP. It was all thanks to what remained of stereotypes from the old era, where multiple personalities were treated like something out of the occult or horror genres. You know, I wasn't the one who started calling myself a super genius. I've been told that since I was very young, at the Training Institute. This kid's a super genius, with all that parallel processing power despite not being a CPP. Thinking back on it, maybe all of them were CPPs, not just the friend who came out about it. And I treated that friend like some kind of bizarre animal. Imagining how everyone else must have felt made my chest hurt. Meow. Wait, that's not right. I want to treat you as an individual human being. Would you mind telling me your name? Uh-huh. Meow. It sounded like someone imitating a cat's cry. No, wait, that's not it. I see. Meow and meow, huh? What a cute name. Meow. Wait, sorry. Meow. Are you a girl? Yeah. Sorry about earlier. I grabbed your shoulder hard. That's no way to treat a girl, right? Forgive me. It's okay. Two personalities with different genders in the same body, huh? Sounds like something you'd find in some old Japanese manga. Wait. I shouldn't be thinking up jokes. No, seriously, I'm so sorry. Don't apologize so much, okay? I shouldn't have run, and I should have told you. Meow, what should I do? I want to treat you the way you want to be treated. Huh? If you ask me to forget everything that happened today, I'll forget about you completely by tonight. If I ever realize I'm seeing you as Meow, I'll pretend I don't know you. Anyway, the way Jaden panicked as he tried his best to be polite must have looked a little humorous. Meow giggled, and Jaden, not realizing while she was laughing, opened his eyes even wider. Thanks. You're nice, Jaden. No, I'm just, If you act so humble, it just makes this more uncomfortable. So really, don't worry about it. And anyway, I've been by your side all this time. If you act so distant, it actually makes me feel lonely. I see. After all, you still exist even when Meow's there. So, what about today's training?
Hey, I'm a Gauntlet Knight too. I split the work with Big Brother, checking our surroundings and controlling our posture and stuff.
I see. Is that how it was? So, you've been my other partner all along. At the word partner, Meow smiled broadly for the first time. Meow was probably the main personality. So, Meow's personality had always had to be kept hidden away, and it was hard for others to notice it. She must have been happy to be recognized as a separate personality. Big Brother, huh? So you're Meow's little sister. My old friend said his personalities are friends with each other.
It's brother and sister in our case. There's all sorts, depending on the person.
So, Meow usually controls your body, but sometimes you put on makeup like a girl and go out at night to have fun, like this.
Yeah.
So, she's been having fun in a part of town far separated from the area Mitake Meow lives in, so that no one who knew her would realize that she's a CPV. Still, it's a bit unsafe for a pretty girl like you to play around in the city at night, don't you think?
Sometimes weird people do try to talk to me.
No kidding. A girl this cute walking around without a boyfriend? You'd be crazy if you didn't try to talk to her. As Jaden said this, he gradually turned red. Just yesterday, he'd thought of this person as a cool partner of the same gender. Now, he suddenly had to treat her like a girl, even though this was the same physical body. Except for a little makeup, this was totally Meow. Well... now I'm feeling kind of hot and sweaty. Meow, the next time you come here to have fun, let me know.
Uh-huh.
I, Super Genius Jaden, will be your bodyguard and make sure no weirdos come after you.
Oh, yeah. I think having a bodyguard would be nice.
That body belongs to my two partners, Meow and Meow, so it's only natural that I protect it. Why do I keep turning red? What I'm saying is perfectly normal, right? My partner's body is tiny, and it'd suck if some weirdo came after him and hurt him when he was off having fun at night, so I'm offering to stay by his side. There's nothing remotely strange about that. Oh, I get it. It's because of how Meow's face looks. Because you look like that, I can't figure out what to do next. Enough with this weird sweat already.
Thanks, Jaden. I'll definitely ask you to do that when the time comes.
Sure, send me a Kizuna message whenever you like. Would they ever have been able to talk like this if Jaden had only ever known Meow? The two of them chatted about things they never would have discussed if it had been Meow. Before long, Jaden was gradually beginning to understand. I see. I get it. When Meow was lecturing me, he would always praise me for doing something good at the very end. No matter how small it was, he'd always find something. That was you, wasn't it?
How?
Come to think of it, I always thought it was weird that Meow always tore me down, then managed to encourage me at the end. But after talking with you, I'm sure. The person who was always watching me and praising me so that I could give it my all was you, Meow. Even though Jaden had met her for the first time today, he could see how much unexpected joy those words gave her. Something twinkled a little near her tightly shut eyes.
You're really cool, Jaden. I can't believe you noticed that I was there.
Oh, well, of course. I'm still Super Genius Jaden.
Yeah, a super genius. And cool. I know that. I'm always watching from nearby, so I know.
But isn't Meow listening to this conversation? The next time I see him, he'll tell me not to be a creep around his sister and beat the crap out of me.
Oh, that's okay. When I don't want to be heard, I make sure the door of my heart is shut.
Apparently, privacy between personalities is possible, and she can apparently take her current experiences and memories and either share them with Meow or keep them for herself. Thinking about it that way, this is pretty rough. A brother and sister living in the same body. Beyond that, I don't remember much of what we talked about. However, until the sky lit up, I think we kept on talking at random about fun stuff, though I don't remember it well. guys were another matter, but just before dawn wasn't a very safe time for girls. At that hour, they would sometimes get bugged by guys who had been having fun all night and who were weirdly excited. But she said she wanted to secretly go home on her own. Meow was a girl, but the main personality of that body was Meow. In other words, people thought of them as a guy. If people knew that Mitake Meow was walking around in makeup like a girl, it would cause Big Brother trouble. If that happened, he'd stop letting me go out to play. Then shouldn't it be the other way around? Huh? You walk back home openly with me. If we do bump into someone we know, I'll say this isn't Meow, it's a girlfriend of mine. I see. Meow's face had gone red as if someone had boiled it. Did I really say something that embarrassing? Apparently, Kizuna had interpreted girlfriend as girlfriend. In English, Jaden had only meant that he'd introduce her as a girl he was friends with, but in places that spoke Japanese, the phrase always meant a more long-term, one-on-one romantic relationship. It's okay. I know what you meant. Kizuna translates things weird sometimes, doesn't it? That's really a pain. I'll try and find a better Japanese translation patch. No matter how much technology advances, communication really is made up of more than words and text. There's also your eyes, your expression, the atmosphere, smells, your heart beating, and all that makes communication possible. Yeah, if we ever start living in an electronic world, it'll be pretty boring. Kizuna translation mistakes, getting embarrassed and trying to run away, and chasing after people who do that. Every bit of that is a precious part of communication between humans. This ultimate communication tool had broken down all barriers, obviously including language. However, that definitely didn't mean it was better than facing someone and talking to them in person. That cliché, which old cultured people always use to criticize things like Kizuna, bounced through the minds of the two youths who were both acting embarrassed. In the end, the two of them did return to their lodgings together. Apparently, they didn't get a chance to bump into someone they knew and make use of their excuse that they were girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever. And that's the end of the chapter. Interesting. I think, well, let's let it settle. I'm assuming there'll be another quote. But this was an interesting chapter. I'm thinking maybe like what we saw in the last chapter was maybe another altar that Meow has. But I mean, it seems like they're not just doing the like, oh, evil altar. Like, actually, there's another side to him that kills people and murders people, and that's it. Um, I, I don't know. I think there are some things that I am a little hesitant about, but I think I need to see more. And it's also not the worst I've seen. And again, I think the fact that we're having a character that is like specifically has dissociative identity disorder is a good thing. So I don't know. I'll have to sort out my thoughts more as we continue, but definitely interesting. And I like how how well Jaden took it. I don't know. I think it's nice that they're all friends. So I don't know. That was a lot of reading today with all the profiles. So my voice is a little tired, as you can maybe tell. But good episode today, and I'm definitely excited to keep going and learn more. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next time.